Bum-ba-da-dum! Howdy, welcome to BanjoBenClark.com. I'm Banjo Ben, your host here on the site that teaches you how to play banjo, mandolin. This week is Guitar Week. I'm excited because today I'm going to teach you to improvise. Now, maybe you've heard a lot of claims that say that, but it's true. I'm going to, if you'll stick with me today, you will truly improvise, maybe for the first time ever, but I'm going to get you playing things that are not written on a page. I'm going to get you playing things that sound as you feel. And really, I've just got to give you some tools to do that, and then the good Lord's equipped you to do the rest. So we've got a little bit of theory work to do in the beginning, and then I'm going to turn you loose. This is a great video. It's the first in a series that I'm excited to complete here on the website. And if you're watching somewhere other than the website, then you can come over to the website. See this full 30-minute lesson today, and if you're a Gold Pick member, you can get hundreds of lessons there for all three instruments. I'd love to have you on board. If you're already watching here on the site as a Gold Pick member, hello, old friend. You can scroll down the page, click on the next video segment, download all those practice MP3s because we're going to need those, and also the PDF and TEF file tabs. Let's get going. We're going to have a lot of fun today, so get your guitar, get tuned up, and I told you that there was maybe just a couple theory prerequisites, and it's true. There's a couple things that I need you to know before going forward. You don't have to be super fast at them, but you just got to know them. And that is how to play a G major scale, a 2-octave G major scale. It sounds like this. Okay, and the second thing I need you to know is what those notes are called inside that scale. So you should be able to know that a G major scale starts with the G and goes through G, and the note names are this: G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, and then it starts over again. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. Now, if you don't know that, don't panic. I have a lesson here on the site called G Major Scale Study. You'll want to go check that out. Just go back to the guitar page, type in G Major Scale Study. You can watch that and learn. If you don't want to learn that, then I don't think that you want to be a better guitar player. And I'll just tell you that because I had to have that told to me. I wanted the easy stuff. I wanted the low-hanging fruit. I wanted to just be able to play stuff, and I didn't want to put in any work for a while until I had people that I respected say, sorry, man, you've got at least a certain amount of information that you've got to learn. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell you the hard truth. It's not that hard. You can learn how to play this. It doesn't have to be that fast, and then you can know what the notes are called. Now, maybe it's been a little while since you've done that. Maybe you need a refresher, and I'm here to give that to you. Let's check out this first line tab, and I'll try to be a little nicer going forward. Sometimes we just need a little straight talk, don't we? Well, there's that G major scale that I was talking about in measure 2 and 3. Again, it sounds like this. Now, you may wonder, what are those little notes with the yellow shading? And we're going to highlight all kinds of notes as we go through today's exercise, unlocking this improvisational muscle of yours. But those are the roots. Those are the G notes. So we're going to concentrate today on a G major scale. There are more scales to come, okay? But I want to take it in bite-sized chunks. The G major scale. And at first, we're going to look at what's called the tonic chord or the root chord, which is a G major chord. But we're also going to look at the 4 and the 5. Do you know what that is? That would be the chords that have the 4th and the 5th scale tones as the roots. So if we play that G major scale, 2, 3, 4, there's a C note. So we're going to look at the C chord today. And then if we go one more scale tone, D, that's a D note for a D chord. So we're going to look at the G, C, and the D, the 1, 4, and the 5 in the key of G today. And that's because most of our songs are going to use those 3 chords. But we're only going to deal with one scale, and one scale is going to work great over all 3 of those. Much, much more to come with that. Okay, so we've got our G notes here in measure 4, don't we? Oh, not that one. So it's important to know that over a G major scale that goes 2 octaves high, then we have 3 G notes that we're playing. We start out on a G, we play a G halfway through, that's an open G string, and we end up with the G string up here. Now, the reason why I'm telling you that is because today's lesson, we're going to begin improvising, which means that there's not a lot of boundaries when you're improvising, but we need a couple of constants that give us boundaries, some rules, something solid, and then we can improvise in between those things and at least begin to get our footing. Now let's look at the next line and we'll see what I'm talking about. Now we've got these roots, and the first root is this G note down here, and then the next root that we're going to concentrate on is just the next one up, which is right there on the G major string, or the G string. And what I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to get us to improvise, starting on the low G note and ending on the high G note. How are we going to improvise? We're going to use the G major scale. That's why it's important that you learn it, because I want to give us some tools that we're going to learn. Now, how can you get from G to G using the G major scale? Well, of course, we could just jump straight there, skip most of the scale notes, and do just like we see in measure 5, G and G. Okay, well, that's kind of boring. Sometimes we need to do that, but let's do a little bit more. We could use an arpeggio. Look at measure 6. Look at this arpeggio. Here are the notes. What's an arpeggio? Well, those are just chord notes, instead of playing all at once, broken down and played individually. And so in this instance, we got a G major arpeggio. That's just the first, third, and fifth tones of the G major scale that is used to make the G major chord played individually. I just want you to see that. Now, of course, we could also get from root to root in a way that we've already done, and that's just playing straight up the major scale. That's measure 7. But wait. Oh, this is where it gets good, y'all. I hope that you've stuck with me through this, because here's where I want to challenge you. Maybe you have never improvised in your life. Maybe you've never played anything that's not written on a page. This is where I want you to stretch, okay? Because you have all the tools that you need right now to improvise. And here are the rules that I'm going to give you. Start on the low G string, the low G note right here. End up on the next root an octave higher, right there, and use whatever notes you want to, whatever notes come to you, whatever notes you just choose, but use them out of the G major scale. Okay, you could do that with 4 notes like that arpeggio. You could do it with 5 notes. You could do it with 6 notes. I don't care what you do, but hit pause right now and just work out 2 or 3 different ways. Don't look at the tab. Work out 2 or 3 different ways that you can get from G to G using the G major scale notes. I'll wait. Okay, I waited long enough. Let me give you an example of what you could have done. Look at measure 8. Here's just an example of what it might look like in scale notes. You see what I've done? I've gone from the low G in measure 8 to the high G at the end of measure 8, and I've played a bunch of notes in between. I play 8 notes total, and I'm using all G major scale notes, but I'm playing them just in a random order, just however I want to do that. And this particular example sounds like this. Okay, so that's just your first little taste, and maybe you want to pause it again and just practice doing that some more. That's great. We're going to get plenty of it here in just a bit. Now, let's move on. In the next line, I want us to try the next octave up. Will you do that with me? Let's start there, measure 9, and let's go from that root up to this root. So this is a G note, and this is a G note. Now, how can we get from one G to the next? Well, we can just play octaves, or we could play up our arpeggio, or we could do a G major scale, or you could pause it right now and come up with another version of that. Use those same scale notes and then choose 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12. I don't care, however many notes you want, but start on one root and make it up to the next using scale notes. I'll wait. Okay, that's long enough. Look at my example here in measure 12. It looks like this. Pretty cool. That makes me feel a certain way. I could come up with others. We could go on and on and on. But what I want you to get comfortable with is having a starting note, having an end note, having notes to choose from to get you from one to the next, and then letting the rest go. Letting the rest go. Just slowly let yourself go. Slowly let yourself find notes that are in that scale that sound however you want them to sound. And maybe there's no emotion tied to it right now. Maybe there's no rhyme or reason. Maybe you're still thinking in patterns. That's okay, because patterns make great improvisational tools. Or maybe you want to introduce some more rhythms, or we're going to get into all that. But I want you right now, before we move on, I want you to just feel what it feels like to go from one G note up an octave using scale notes and doing them in whatever order you want. And if you're able to do that, listen to me. If you're able to do that, you can improvise because you just did. All right? So if you got a question about that, leave a comment below. I'll help you more with that. If you're watching here on the website, let's go to the next video because I've got some big exercises here that are going to help us stretch that muscle even more. And we haven't even made it to the C and the D chord yet.